It's time for another edition of I disagree with these Instagram comments, so I'm going to make a video about it. And we're going to talk about the MMA fan base turning on Ilia Topuria and also acting like he's easy work for Max Holloway. Not only easy work, but making it seem like Ilia is avoiding Max, or worse, that he's ducking the rematch with Volk. Can you believe that? Either way, let me just get this out of the way before I look at some of these comments. I understand why people are being turned off by Ilia Topuria. It's because he's a prima donna. It's because as soon as he got that belt and went on this world tour and he was parading around with it at these big football stadiums, you could just tell that this man was going to be a bitch to deal with and that he was never going to fight. He's the opposite of Volkanovski, who's the leaping at the bits to get a fight type of guy. Ilia is acting like he's just, you got to do something for me to, get me to notice you. He's acting like he's a freaking stuck-up girl or something like that. And I understand why people don't like him, but he's talking smack. And people are treating it as if he's being disrespectful towards Volk and towards Max. If you see this photo on screen, oh, he's talking smack. Come on, man, stop being disrespectful. We should want fighters to talk shit. Okay, it's what makes the sport fun. We kind of need guys that are going to be talking some smack, building fights. And this guy is the same person that we were saying, dude, no way, this guy's so cold, man. When he knocked out Volkanovski after he called his shot and he changed his Instagram bio before the fight, and we were all saying, damn, he actually did it. It's so cold. We were all hyping this dude up after he KO'd one of the greatest fighters of all time. And now people are taking issue with this trash talk, and they're saying he's like disrespectful. I'm tired of the disrespect. Some guy literally said, oh my God, look at this comment. Oh my goodness, look at this. Been following for a few years, puked in my mouth, and unfollowed you after this. Oh my goodness. You have people saying they're puking in their mouth because Ilia Topuria talked about Alexander Volkanovski, who apparently he's saying that he's going to pick Max Holloway to beat Ilia in a fight. And he's saying, I think Max has him. I think Max is going to make it look easy. And Ilia posted this, and he said, this is directed to Max. He says, this guy says you can beat me, Max. Bring your pillow. As if I'm going to put you to sleep, bring a pillow. A photo of him knocking Volk out where Volkanovski, you can see in his eyes, he's not all there. It's a cold photo. This guy's saying, oh my God, I puked after seeing this. Dude, fucking toughen up, man. This is the fight game. Why are people acting all of a sudden like he's just being so disrespectful? You're going to see some of these other comments. Look at this. Lil bro doesn't have the respect, then wonders why people hate him. Doesn't have respect? Dude, did you not see him tell Alexander Volkanovski he's going to knock him out in the first minute? Why do you give a fuck if Ilia Topuria is disrespecting these guys a little bit when it's just coming down to competition? He's not talking about their personal life. He's just saying this, you think this guy can beat me? Or, hey, Max, look at this motherfucker that I folded into a lawn chair. I'm going to do the same to you. That's not disrespect. It's the fight game. He thinks he's better than these guys. And he's undefeated. He's cocky. And that's one of the things that makes Ilia Topuria so fun to watch. And that's one of the things that gives him an aura. Let's talk about this. Been following for a few years and I puked in my mouth, man. Just tired of it. Tired of it, man. Everyone is a Max fan all of a sudden. Are we really going to sit here and act like Max Holloway hasn't been a fan favorite since, I don't even know how long. I mean, probably since 2018, he's been a fan favorite. Since 2017, he's been a fan favorite. And he just had the biggest win of his career. So people are talking about this fight. It's the fight to make. And Max has been a fan favorite. So it's not like they're just coming out of the woodworks. But let's look at some of these other comments. Here we go. Max smokes you. You only won against Volk because Islam concussed him with a head kick KO. Relax, buddy. So the only reason he beat Volk was because Islam concussed him with a head kick KO a few months before. Now, I will say it was a stupid decision for Volkanovski to fight only 4 months after he got knocked out by Makhachev in Abu Dhabi. But the right hook that Ilia Topuria landed on Volkanovski was landed because he took advantage of a weakness in Volkanovski's game, a tendency that he has shown in almost every single one of his fights where he pulls back chin up in the air, not defending himself properly. And he's been able to get away with that because he's not fought anyone that's had the, Diddy man boxing of Ilia Topuria with the clean right hook that he has. Ilia Topuria was the one to make him pay for that mistake. So he landed that via skill. It was not just, Volk wasn't all there and he was not fighting like himself and he made a bunch of stupid decisions. He had made these decisions many times in his fights, just hasn't been KO'd for it. But Ilia Topuria was the one that was skilled enough to land the shot because his boxing is ridiculously good. And Volk didn't get knocked out because he was concussed. I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. If Ilia lands that shot on a fresh Volkanovski that has never taken a single concussive blow throughout his whole career, he's knocking him out. So what's this BS about? He only won because he was concussed. Dude, Ilia lands that shot on anyone in the division, they're going to sleep. Except for maybe Max Holloway. But I have a feeling that even if you're Max Holloway, you're getting dropped by Justin Gaethje, and you can say, well, it's Justin Gaethje, and he's a big lightweight. Well, Max Holloway doesn't have the weight cut. He doesn't have the same harsh weight cut, I should say, when he's fighting at lightweight, whereas when he fights Ilia Topuria, he's going to drain himself to get down to 145. He's taken more significant strikes to the head than anyone else in UFC history. And Ilia Topuria, with the power that he has in that right hook, if he lands that shit flush, we may be saying nighty night night to Max. This guy said talking shit while rejecting a rematch is insane. Okay. First of all, Ilia Topuria is not rejecting the rematch. I've actually heard in many interviews that he said that if something happens and they don't make the Max fight or they don't do this or that, then he'll fight Alexander Volkanovski. But he wants Volkanovski to take his sweet time off. He has said, the reason why I don't want to fight Volk directly next is because people are going to say, when I beat him, you only won because he didn't have enough time to recover. So I want Volk to take a whole year off to recover, to get better. I want the best version of Volk showing up. That's when I want to fight him. He's not ducking the rematch. You think he's ducking Volkanovski after he just butchered him? Like, what world are we living in? You think this guy's scared of Volk? He just knocked him out in the second round. Again, Volk looked good in the fight. Like, he looked fine to me. People were saying things like he wasn't pressing the action and he wasn't as aggressive as he normally would be. Volkanovski fights on the back foot all the time, like he did against Topuria. In fact, he looked really good doing it. It's just that the leg kicks that we thought were going to do damage to Topuria's bladed stance, they didn't have an effect on him. And Volkanovski could not just float like a butterfly and sting like a bee for 25 minutes. Eventually, Ilia Topuria cornered him, took advantage of a weakness, and knocked him out. But Volk looked fast. He was fighting on the back foot like he tends to do quite often in his fights. He beat Max Holloway in the trilogy on the back foot. I mean, he looked good. And he's not being ducked by Ilia Topuria. I don't want Volk to fight Ilia. If you're a Volk fan, why the fuck would you want this fight again? This is a nightmare matchup for Volkanovski. Couldn't win it at 35. You think he's winning it at 36? Come on. I don't want the rematch. I want Volkanovski to fight Aljo. Let's get on to the next one. Looks like he hurt your ego, bro. He didn't hurt anyone's ego, dude. All right? So you're really thinking that Volkanovski hurt Ilia Topuria's feelings because he picked Max? I don't think Ilia gives a fuck. I just think he's trying to flex on the fan base and he's trying to flex on Volk. Anyway, let's look at another one of these interactions that Ilia and Max had. Again, Ilia Topuria is not ducking Max Holloway. All right? He says, I never turned down the rematch with Alex as the UFC has never offered me this fight. As I've said many times before, I'll be the first one to KO Holloway. Okay, so let's just get this out of the way. He's not turning down the rematch with Alex. He said, I want Alex to get his time. And also, the UFC is not offering Ilia Topuria Alexander Volkanovski fight in May. They're not offering him a Volkanovski fight. They probably want Volk to rest up too. They probably want Ilia to fight someone in the meantime, which is what we're about to get. It's just that you can't expect an Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway announcement for a September card or an August card to happen on May 1st. Okay? Anyway, he says, I'm going to be the first one to KO Holloway. Let's keep this simple. Do you want to fight? If the answer is yes, there's nothing more to discuss. Bring my belt and bring your pillow, which is a nice line, but let's talk about the belt. It's not happening. The UFC is not going to put the BMF belt on the line for an undisputed title. They're just not doing that. Okay? As soon as Whoever wins an undisputed fight that also has the BMF belt on the line, the champion's going to have the BMF belt. So what's the deal? Everyone that beats the champion to become the champion is now the BMF. You have to have them separate. Maybe they wouldn't put it on the line if it was Aljamain Sterling fighting the winner of Ilia and Max. Whoever's going to win the BMF title if they had it, they probably wouldn't put it up for a guy like Aljo, even though DC thinks so. He says that Aljo should be fighting for the BMF belt. Are you out of your fucking mind? Enough of the bullshit, all right? Aljo? Dude, the BMF belt is about slugging, all right? There are some bad motherfuckers that are grapplers, 100%, but you know what it's about. Don't be silly, DC. And in a way, I'm kind of looking forward to the UFC not having the BMF belt on the line for this because, again, Holloway's proven that he's been a BMF throughout his career. Holloway's fought the who's who. He's fought anyone, any place, anytime. He was stepping up on short notice to fight Dustin. He was stepping up on short notice to fight Khabib. Again, Holloway's been in a million good scraps. He's earned the title. Justin Gaethje has proven that he's someone that goes to war and he's always putting on a fight of the year. Ilia Topuria, listen, don't get me wrong. He's probably better than everyone that's won the BMF belt. Maybe we'll see what can happen with Max, but like you can't be fighting for the BMF belt if you haven't proved it with your fight style. If you're not slugging it out in the pocket. Just last week he was making fun of Max Holloway for, having that moment where they basically throw caution to the wind and just start slugging without any technique, even though there's a little bit of technique, but you get my point. He said, I would never do some shit like that. And that's why Max will never beat me. Well, that's why you shouldn't be fighting for the BMF belt. And so in a way, I'm actually, as I said, I'm kind of looking forward to the UFC humbling Ilia Topuria a bit by not allowing him to fight for the BMF belt. Little broing him and say, listen, you're not fighting for the BMF belt. Defend your fucking belt against Max and shut up. Because that's what we need from Ilia. We need trash talk. Anyone complaining about he's being so disrespectful, stop. Okay? We need new stars, and trash talk is going to get people interested in it. So enough complaints about that. I saw a comment earlier today saying this is a sport about respect. It is, but I actually want the sport to grow, and I don't find it to be that disrespectful to talk about beating up your opponent, your future opponent, or to gloat about beating up your past opponent. It's all about competition. Like, these guys are getting in a cage trying to knock each other the fuck out. They're allowed to talk a little bit of competitive smack talk. I understand if you don't like it when these guys get a little bit personal. I totally get that. But this is not personal. They're just talking about knocking each other out, all right? Get over it. Anyway, Max Holloway says, bro, you're the one making this hard enough already. I'll bring your belt. The blessing MF for belt. All you're doing is putting words together now. You're spiraling. Okay, so Max Holloway was calling him like a salty ex-girlfriend last week. And people think that Ilia is the one that's getting emotional about this. I don't think so. I actually think that Ilia is the one that's trying to wind up Max. Holloway's trying to do this whole like nonchalant, too cool for this type act, right? But I actually, Max Holloway, he still has that Edgar rage in him. He still has that the Polynesian heat, right? Where he is a little bit passive aggressive at times, and you'll even see that in his fights where he'll like nod at a fighter that he's punching in the face, or someone will do something well and he'll give them the thumbs up and give them an angry nod. Holloway, I can tell, is kind of, I don't think he likes Ilia at all. I think he can't wait to beat Ilia up, and I think that Ilia is just trying to get under his skin by calling Max out and saying, I'm gonna knock you out, bring your pillow, because he's trying to make Max a little bit emotional. Because if Max goes in there emotional, as we know, it won't be the best for him. All right. Whereas I think Ilia is not fazed by this at all. But people are acting like Ilia Topuria was, shitting his pants when he saw Max Holloway knock out Justin Gaethje. I didn't see that at all. I saw Ilia Topuria recognizing that he was on camera. He was pretty impressed and shocked in the moment, like any fan would be, because it was a really cool KO. But he was trying to play it off like, it's a cool KO, but I don't want to make it seem too cool because I'm supposed to be the cooler guy here. I'm supposed to be the one that beats this guy, right? He's not scared. He's not shitting his pants, all right? The people that are saying things like, dude, Max Holloway keeps 10-8ing him. This is not really a 10-8. Max Holloway just said enough. Chill, you're spiraling. And Ilia Topuria is coming at him a little bit hard, and I think that's fine, but Hey, if you ask me, the biggest 10-8 so far has been Ilia Topuria saying, I beat the guy that beat you 3 times, and I did what you couldn't do in 75 minutes. I did that shit in 8. That's a 10-8. But we got to talk about some of these comments, because I'm seeing a lot of people say that, Ilia Topuria is toast. That Ilia Topuria, he's going to get his ass kicked. Look at what Max Holloway did to Justin Gaethje. Completely different fights, okay? It's one thing to beat the shit out of an upright Justin Gaethje that throws hooks with grunts at the end of them, like he's fighting out of the copper mines. I like to call him Rufus, because that's what happens when Justin Gaethje, can't get a hold of himself. He turns into this, Rufus, this ruthless Rufus from the copper mines that starts going crazy. But, Max Holloway had a really good performance, the best performance of his whole career, and he's looking unstoppable right now. But let's not forget, and I hate to say the cliche line, but styles make fights. Ilia Topuria is not an upright boxer. He is hunched over. He has a low center of gravity. He has the, Volkanovski Diddy Man boxing build, which gave Max Holloway fits 3 times in a row. And he can shoot takedowns. And he has crisper boxing than Gaethje and better defense. It's a different matchup, guys. And I think that, it's one thing for Max Holloway to go up there and beat up a lightweight. And I know Justin Gaethje, as I said, big, strong lightweight, right? Well, he doesn't have the featherweight skill, right? It's the featherweight skill that usually gives Max Holloway a tougher fight. Oh, you don't believe me? How about the fight with Arnold Allen, where Allen took 2 rounds against Max? It was a 48-47. Don't care what the judges scored it. It was 48-47. All right? So, it's a little bit different when you're going from Rufus to Ilia Topuria, who's just clean. He's got the finesse. It's a tough fight for Max. I could see Ilia kind of like Volk, countering hard, playing the same kind of back foot style of approach that Volk played against Max in the trilogy. I could even see him finishing Max. And I think Max has a good chance. I think Max is the best he's ever been right now. But, by no means does Max beating Gaethje mean, he's going to dominate Ilia Topuria. All right? Different matchup, totally different thing. But I will be rooting for Holloway. I'll be rooting for him. There's nothing that I would like to see more than Max Holloway mogging Ilia Topuria in the cage, pointing to him, emoting at him, being passive-aggressive towards him, knocking him out, and then flexing over him. I would love to see Max Holloway do something like that. But I think that it's, a little bit too good to be true. I think that Ilia Topuria right now, looking unbeatable. He's freaking hard to finish, too. I mean, people don't talk about this, but Ilia Topuria has a granite chin, and I feel like people don't give him enough respect. And I just think he's going to rapidly improve. He's still young. He's like 28 years old. Not that Max can't improve, but he's not improving at the same rate. I think Ilia is going to win this fight. And yeah, I just wanted to make this video because, again, a lot of people are turning on Ilia Topuria, and I think it's kind of for the wrong reason. They mistake the trash talk of Ilia to, he's ducking everyone, or he's saying, you need to bring the BMF belt, which, as I said, that's just not going to happen. But he's not using that as the same type of stipulation as Colby was doing to Ian Gary when he's saying, you and your wife need to get down on your knees. That was never going to happen. Ilia wants this fight, okay? He knows this is a big legacy fight. He wants this fight. Just because he and Max aren't signed to fight as far as May 1st today does not mean that they're not going to make it. It's just a little bit too far out to book the fight. So no worries, guys. They are going to fight. Ilia's not ducking, and you should want him to talk shit. Doesn't mean you have to root for him. I totally understand not liking him that much because I still think he's going to be somewhat inactive as a champion. But this guy knocks people out. He talks shit. He gloats, and he sells fights. It's going to be entertaining. But he also said something along the lines of, I'm going to be the highest paid athlete by 2026. All right, that is unbelievably delusional. Ilia Topuria has no chance to be the highest paid athlete in 2026. Not with a win over Max, not with a win over Volk in a rematch, okay? He's going to have to beat Islam Makhachev and Sean O'Malley on top of those 2 wins to be the highest paid athlete. And even then, I don't think it's going to happen. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's all I got to say. Until next time.